Chapter 9, The Thieves of Lyons. In the village. It's been 3 days since the training started. Alec went to see Axel and told him about the problems they were facing during the training sessions. He was surprised to see Axel sleeping, and with I sleeping beside him. He tapped his shoulder and woke him up. Axel got up and was also surprised to see I lying there. However, ignoring that, he asked Alec regarding the matter of his visit. Alec told him, "There are 2 groups of hunters who have settled their camps outside the village and it could be of a problem for us. Also, we have a shortage of weapons. We have to think about all these issues. Summon all the heads for a meeting and invite that new group of hunters as well," Axel replied. An emergency meeting was held. All the leaders were there and the chiefs of both hunter groups were there as well. Alec was standing beside Axel and asked the chiefs the purpose for coming to that village. One of the chiefs said, "We have been tracking thieves of Lyons for days. We suspect that they are hiding in the woods. But we heard an interesting rumor that someone has killed a mythical wolf and is planning to hunt more of them. We would also like to participate in this hunt as well. This is a deadly mission. Why would you like to risk your life for something like this? What's your goal? What are you not telling us?" Alec inquired. "It would be a mission for you, my lord, but it is our way of living. We hunt to survive. These mythical beasts are considered exotic. You can get a hefty price for such goods only if you know the right person to sell to. We have an experience with such creatures. Also, it would be beneficial to have more men on your side, as they say the more the merrier," said the chief. Alec thought that it would be an advantage to have more fighters with actual weapons on our side. The question is, are they trustworthy? There is an issue of strategy and coordination. You are welcome to stay. You will be informed regarding the strategy. If you comply with us and follow the rules, then you will be offered a reward that you cannot refuse, but if I get a whisper of any kind of issues with the locals, you will be banished immediately. Any conflict either with the villagers or between your people will be brought to Alec and it will be dealt with. You may go now," said Axel. After they left, I said to Axel, "The hunters are total barbarians. They have their own set of rules which they don't really abide by. We have to keep an eye on them. The conditions you have put forward are fair enough and I second that." She said all this while holding his hand, which made everyone present there uncomfortable. Axel inquired about the information and the progress of their strategies. "The information I have gathered so far is this. Wolves are far more powerful and intelligent than we have thought. As they were able to avoid our traps. They prefer to attack at night. Their bite is poisonous, as all those who have been bitten died within 24 hours. We have only one person who claims to survive the attack. But that old man is a nut job and we cannot confirm the legitimacy of his story. The fear and hopelessness take over you when you face them. I suspect it might be some kind of magical ability, as they are mythical beasts. There is a story going on amongst the orphans that these beasts keep an eye on the village from the forest. There is a black wolf who is the village protector, but this information is not confirmed yet. I think it's their imagination. I have mentioned this fact because that old man also mentioned a black wolf he raised and claims that he is the guardian of the village. They can break through steel and doors quite easily. Their attacks are very random, but one thing is that the homeless refugees on the streets were never attacked. For some reason they want kids. Since the sacrifice, they haven't attacked at all. It might be possible that a magician is controlling them. This is all the information I have so far. As for the strategy, it is difficult to come up with a plan for women and children, as both are weak links. It's foolish to put children in danger as they are the target, and by doing so, we are easily handing over them to the wolves, Alec explained. It is not that difficult to imagine and figure out their roles on the battlefield. Dragon Clan has been using them for years. The kids and women will be the helpers of the warriors. They will do the small tasks like collecting arrows or giving water to the warriors, said Axel. We have already dug ditches, but they are of no use. They can jump over them easily, then why are we doing that again? Head of the soldiers asked. Then we have to dig ditches big enough which they cannot avoid. Try using some imagination, said I. Well, I didn't ask from you. The head of the soldiers said, irritated. So, then we don't have strategies till now. I advise you to use your heads more than tongues, all of you. We will start to train the archers. Axel said. But how will it be possible to train them in a month? Someone said in the back. We don't need great archers but capable enough to charge at the wolves. We will also build a wall around the village, having 2 gates, one towards the forest and the other on the opposite side. I suggest we use black wood as it is the strongest material available. Axel explained. Alec interjected and said, "It is impossible to work with black wood as there's no tool that is able to cut it even, the fire doesn't burn it. We don't have enough weapons. How are we going to arrange arrows? Instead of giving me excuses, you should think about solutions and get on working. I feel that living in the palace has pampered you. Well, boy, what do you think? You'll be explaining the White King's strategies forever? It's time that you start making your own strategies," Exel said. At that moment, 2 guards walk in holding 2 men. They told that those men were lurking around in the woods. They had 2 sacks full of colorful stones. Dashi, chief of orphan hunters, recognized the stones. "Oh, good heavens! Those are the magic stones," he told. Magic stones were extremely difficult to find, only the kings could have afforded them for their weapons. "These many stones are equal to a kingdom's treasure." One of them said, "You can have half of them, but please let us go. We were just waiting for somebody." "Who are you?" Alec asked, thinking that they might be nobles or prince of some kingdom. It wouldn't take long enough to get the information. By just threatening, they spilled all the beans, that they are thieves of Leones waiting in the woods to meet their brother Sai. Just then a young, slim boy with average height entered the tent. He had pale skin with sharp features, wearing decent clothes. A big red stole was draped neatly on his shoulder from his back and placed on his hand. "I think you have captured my brothers." "Oh, I didn't introduce myself. People call me Sai, my lord," he said with a pleasant smile. The guards captured him and put him on his knees. He looked up with a smile and said, "This is not needed. We're all friends here." Addressing Exel, he said, "I came here to offer my help. I could be of great use. Imagine someone who could steal all that from Leon's laboratory can be very tactful for you. Consider these stones as a gift. All I want is protection from Leon's security general and some of these precious stones, if only you want to give. I know how to read and write, as I have worked a great time in the libraries of Leon's." He presented himself and talked with great mannerisms and a constant smile on his face. Exel got up from his seat and walked up to him and said, "You want us to believe a thief? I don't want you to believe me, I want you to use me." Sai again said that with a never-fading smile on his face and made Exel question him, "What is it with your smile? I have read somewhere that smile is proved beneficial during negotiations, and I must tell you that it has served me well," he replied. That made Exel smile a little, as he reminded him of someone dear and gave him a chance to prove himself. He gave him the task to come up with a solution regarding weapons in the next 24 hours. If he succeeds, he will be protected by them in return. After 24 hours. At the dinner table, Sai said, "My lord, I have come up with a solution. I have seen hunters using a peculiar weapon. It's called a crossbow. I have been told that we need more archers, so I suggest using that weapon instead of the traditional bow and arrow. It's handy and can be replicated easily. The handler can get precision on a crossbow within a month, even if it's not crafted well. The hunters told me that they buy these weapons from an underground, highly skilled craftsman. He only works against rare materials. But it's difficult to contact him because no one has ever seen him, which is troublesome. I have sent him a word through a hunter who happens to know a person who deals for him. He only takes jobs that interest him. Apart from that, you want a black wood wall to be built around the village. That wood is difficult to work with as no equipment can cut it. However, I came to know of an interesting story. The idea of building a wall with black wood was very fascinating for Sai. He was interested in the idea and started asking about it, and was surprised to know that there is an entire building made out of black wood. He once happened to find only one document written on black wood at the library. Filled with curiosity and excitement, he went up the hill to ask about who and how they made this building. On investigating, he came to know that the one who made it went into the forest several years ago and had never come back, as no one ever did. A boy told him about the promise of the orphanage. That man, known as the father of the orphans, made a promise before he left. He said that he will return no matter what, but if that did not happen, then he will send a savior who will protect and lead them just like he did. The sign is that he will be able to cut the black wood. As it was promised, their savior has come. They found an unconscious man lying outside the forest by a black wood tree. A wolf was lying dead underneath him. His sword has pierced its chest. That man was bleeding and injured badly. The whole sword was inserted into the wolf, but they weren't able to take it out. Upon looking around, they found that its tip was stuck in the roots of the black wood tree. Sai was surprised with his wide eyes open and asked, "Who was it? Has he returned, your father?" "No," the boy said. "It was our savior promised by our father. It was General Exel. He was guarding us against those wolves." Sai became skeptical of this story as he was listening to all this from some 12-year-old kids. However, he indulged in the story and asked, "How can you be so sure that he's the one?" The boy replied, "How can he not be? If he is not the one, then why would he come all the way here from the kingdom? Why would he save my friend in the arena?" He swooshed the twin prince and won the competition that day. He said to the White King that I will protect orphans. He is our savior. No chance he cannot be. Another boy intervened as if his part of the story might miss out and said in a quirky manner, "You know, when the sword was in his hand, it cut the black wood, but not with someone else's hand. Even a knife in his hand can cut that wood. He was able to do that although he was unconscious. Isn't it enough proof that he is our savior, mister?" Sai listened to their stories almost all day and could not brush them off just because it was children telling a story, but because there were some big names mentioned in it. The White King, the Twin Prince, and cutting black wood is not just an ordinary thing to happen. After he left there, he did some more digging to verify it. It wasn't difficult to notice that everyone has something to say about him. However, I came to know of an interesting story. That you, my lord, is quite capable of handling black wood. I have a suggestion regarding this matter. Instead of making the entire wall with black wood, we can use normal wood and can mix things up. What I mean to say is that we can use one black wood plank and then a normal wood plank. The distance between two black wood planks will be placed in such a manner that the wolves can't pass through it. That will reduce our work substantially without compromising the strength of the wall. We can also make an angular fence on the wall, as I have read that animals avoid climbing angular walls. I would like to discuss more on strategy if you grant us your acceptance and protection. Sai proposed. Everyone present there was surprised as Sai single-handedly not only collected more information than others but also came up with more ideas. His solutions were well sought out, and even easier to implement. "So, you also want acceptance with protection." Exel points out the sneaky change in their agreement. "My lord, I think I have proven myself useful, although I don't know the first thing about fighting or hard labor. I will make up for them through such sneaky changes which will give you an advantage in every situation and hopefully give me some freedom," Sai answered. That makes Exel grin because he not only accepted that he changed the agreement but also demanded freedom while pointing out that he cannot do anything other than thinking, which is eventually beneficial for them. Exel knew that Sai will be of great use in the future. "Who gave you the right to give him all the stones? Remember, they are not just yours," one of Sia's brothers yelled. "Don't forget that if we haven't helped you, you wouldn't have been successful in getting a hand on them," the other one said. Sai took a deep sigh and said, "I also saved your lives. If it weren't me, you would have been dead by now. What good the stones would be if we are dead? Besides, we don't know how to use them and how we would have saved ourselves from Leon's general. They have placed a bounty on our heads. Right now, the most important thing is safety. How are we safe here? They are getting ready to fight mythical beasts, which is practically a suicide," said one of his brothers. "I have heard some interesting things about their general. If I'm not wrong, we can get a lot more from here along with our stones," Sai said. "Oh hell, your curiosity will kill us one day. We have suffered a lot of loss because of it," both of his brothers said. After listening to both of his brothers, he gave them his usual smile and walked out of the tent. His brothers understood that he has something going on in his mind.